Welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Chris Gore. This is Film Threat. We had some technical issues at the top of the show, and I'm going to apologize for that. We're live here Wednesday afternoons at 1 p.m. Pacific time every week. Every week we are here, and on Fridays at 9 a.m. there. Yeah, thank you for adjusting the background music. Here we go. Let's get this show started. A lot of things happening on the show today. We are talking about, of course, She-Hulk, because we have to. We're going to talk about House of the Dragon Episode 2. We are also going to talk about films like 13 Lives, which is also on Prime Video. Another show might be screening there very soon. Additionally, an independent film called Low Life. And we're going to have interviews with the director of Tiger 24 documentary. Warren Pereira is going to be here talking to us about his documentary, along with The Movie. We have writer-director Michael Mandell, The Movie, which is kind of a thriller comedy. It's about movies, oddly enough. And Samaritan, the new Sylvester Stallone film that is on Prime Video. So much good stuff on Prime Video. Is it good stuff? I don't know. And also a special episode tonight. Alan and I will be back later tonight. It's going to be late. It's going to be after 9 p.m., maybe closer to 10 p.m., depending on, when I can get back from the theater. We are going to be talking about the first two episodes of The Rings of Power. That's right. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Tonight, we'll be talking about it. I might even hop on some other live streams before that. If some other folks I know in the YouTube space are talking about Rings of Power, because I'm going to a movie theater with Paulie from Latino Slant, and we'll be talking about that. Let's get the show started. I know that we can do. You know what? I'll say this: we can do better. We can definitely do better, folks. So let's get the show on the road. Alan will be joining me in about 9 seconds. Hey, Alan, how's it going? You're muted. You're muted, man.
There we go.
You're back. Alan, right. Editor-in-chief of Film Threat, is here. It's our Wednesday live cast, which is Hollywood on the Rocks. We are happy that you are spending your time with us. 71 people watching. I know we can get that. I know we can get maybe 71 likes. So slap that like button. Alan, how's it going, man?
Good. Boy, school just started for our family, and so I've been busy, and but not busy enough to watch some really good movies and some really bad ones too.
Right. Yeah, it's been a mixed bag lately. I do think that the theatrical business is going to struggle the next couple months. Mm-hmm. Slim pickings. There's a movie I found out, Medieval, opening September 9th. Something that I think that I may have interest in checking out. I just checked out the trailer for that. So there you go. But we'll be talking about the one thing is that's actually a constant is no matter what when it comes to the big studio releases, there's always something worthwhile that's independent. Mm-hmm. And we'll have some recommendations today of independent films that I've noticed
the big theaters in my area, they are showing a lot of international films and a lot of indie films, and so I think they're just as desperate for content, and I think it only helps the indies right now that the for some reason the studio has a glut of movies that they don't have.
Well, or if you're Warner Brothers, you don't have the money to release the movies.
Or you made a bad movie. Or you made a bad movie and they just don't want to release it.
They made a bad movie and they don't. Yeah, no, it's possible. But look, that's the sort of shining light is when there's not a lot of great stuff out there in the theater. There's always some good independent films. But I saw Jaws, which is actually opening for its, I don't know what anniversary is it? Jaws was what?
Let's see.
75, 76?
Yeah. So are we talking 50 years? Is it really 50 years?
I don't think it's 50 years.
45, maybe.
Yeah. Alan, aren't you supposed to be good at math?
Yes. My I'm a discredit to my
Are you
race.
dyslexic when it comes to math too? Come on, man. Come
Well,
on.
I'm trying to think when it came out, so it had to be late 70s. So yeah, 45 years.
75 or 76, because I know it was like
Yeah.
a year before Star Wars.
Well, it's apparently 77 then.
No, Star Wars is 1977.
Yeah, but
Jaws is not.
this is 2022.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you about math. I will lose that. But let's get into it. Let's see who is here. And before we do, I'm going to give you what you want. And a special shout out and thank you to our members. I have a treat for you. Right after I get off the stream, I am going to be, normally we do these giveaways of codes to movies. Well, I have 10 codes for a movie that I think just came out last week from Lionsgate. Where did I hide those codes? Anyways, I will be giving away codes. I have 10 codes and I'm giving them away to members. So what I'll be doing is in the members tab, if you join, you become a member. I'm just going to be posting the codes. Okay. If you're the higher member, you're probably just going to get it. But if you're just a member at any level, I'm going to be posting a bunch of codes. Just get the movie. It's free. Giving it away. That's how we're doing it. This is a giveaway just for members. Let's check in. And
hold on. So what movie is it?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to find I forgot the name of the movie. Can I just say, here's the thing. I have been way out of it. Okay. I've slept on a couch the last couple days, incredibly uncomfortable. I've been at my friend Bobby Schwartz's house because we're trying to finish Attack of the Dock. So we're locking picture. So it's literally just been sifting through every piece of media, like trying to we need a separate shot for that. So I'm like on the hunt, it's nuts, but it's and we've had some really, really intense debates about this movie, trying to finish it. And we have to finish by next week. So I haven't watched, and I watch YouTube. I am way behind on everything, folks. So thank you. Let's see who's here. Alex Zorba's here. Bear Down Adam, Ferg Turgeson. And let's see, we got a comment here from Sane Adam. Samaritan was good, but very predictable. I called the twist about 10 minutes in. So there you go. Yeah. And Alex Zorba goes on to say, if you don't like She-Hulk, you are clearly a bigot. You know what? Here's the thing. I enjoyed the first 4 episodes that I saw. I know that's a controversial opinion. I like the sitcom format, the legal format. I like the show. Here's the thing. My opinion does not invalidate your opinion. And I love hearing opinions that are different from mine. It's an opportunity to learn something. So, yeah. And Alex Zorba goes on to say, Samaritan is okay. And Bear Down Adam, who's a member, look later. I'm going to be posting those codes. I forget to watch which movie. No, here it is. The movie is Sniper Rogue Mission.
Okay.
It's Sniper Rogue Mission. I have 10 codes that will be good on Movies Anywhere. And I'm just posting all of this so that you guys can just use them. You can use it. So there you go. I'll be posting those after the stream. And Ferg Turgeson says, Samaritan looks like it's a watch. Bear Down Adam says, Rings of Power. Oh no. We'll be talking about Rings of Power tonight. We'll be doing a stream, and I may be appearing on other streams. I don't know. I think people are. Six says, aren't you going to be on Latino Slant at midnight? No, I'm not. I'm going to do I told Paulie, I said, I'll do an out of the theater reaction, but I'm going to do my own show. And then I told Paulie he could come here. It is time to continue the great She-Hulk debate, says Shucksy. There you go. Wait until you see episode 3 of She-Hulk. The opening of the show is people on YouTube complaining about female superheroes. It's funny. I think it's funny. I think if you have a sense of humor about yourself, I think you'll like it. And you can also, it's going to make for some great videos. I cannot wait for some of my favorite YouTubers.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite YouTubers to post their reaction to that. Because
I mean, do you think that they actually watched your friends and
oh, they did?
I mean, it seems that way. That opening montage just goes word for word for a lot of what people are saying.
Very direct.
Yeah.
And Jillian N, who's a member, says, thank you so much, Chris. So yeah, right after the stream, I'm just going to be posting these codes. Grab them and go and have fun with
them.
Now,
are you sure it's not Sniper the White Raven?
No, it's Sniper Rogue Mission.
Okay, then there's 2 Sniper movies coming out real soon.
Oh, is there really? Yeah, I have the codes right here that just tell you how to log in and get the code.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
Okay.
But I want to thank Hale Allen's Nipples, says Bear Down Adam, who's a member. Thank you for that. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. And Alan, let's talk about, I want to hear your review of Samaritan. Because I didn't get a chance to see it, and I feel very bad for that. So I would like to hear what you thought. I saw the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But Alan, tell me what your thoughts are on Samaritan. And Sylvester Stallone, just like he is underestimated. Go watch the first Rocky movie. He's kind of a loser. He's kind of washed up. He's like a low-level thug, and he has to persevere and overcome. Stallone is so good at that. He's willing to, he comes out in the end earning respect in the first Rocky movie. But that movie, that's not usually the go-to that people go to when they watch Rocky. They'll watch like Rocky 3 with Mr. T or Rocky 4 with Ivan Drago. But one of my favorites is probably the first Rocky because he loses the fight. But Alan, you had a chance to watch Samaritan. It's on my list. It's on my list. What did you think of Samaritan?
Yeah, well, Samaritan is the story of a kid. I watch these movies and it's like they drop names and I don't even know the names of it. So this kid who is living in the harsh part of the town, a lot of crime going on, gang warfare. But a long time ago there was peace, and that was because there was this superhero called the Samaritan who fought crime, who protected the city, and then an arch nemesis came around called Nemesis, and a long time ago they got into this major battle. The Nemesis created a hammer that could hammer so strong that it could be the only thing that could pierce the skin of the Samaritan. They fought, both died, or people thought they both died. And then as crime grows in the city and the hope for a hero is waning, a little boy discovers Samaritan, and it's Sylvester Stallone. And of course, he doesn't want to be known for some reason. He has a dark secret. He has pain from the past, and he just wants to be left alone and live the life of a hermit. Yet this kid keeps calling him out, and then finally inspires him to be the Samaritan. Everything you want in the movie is in the trailer. I mean, if you want some good superhero action at a very low, I'd say mid-range budget level, I think you got it here. Story's serviceable. It's a good comic book story. Someone mentioned a twist. Yeah, I mean, the twist was interesting. I think part of that twist was I didn't feel like I really cared, whether that twist occurred or not, whether, it just continued down the road that we'd expected. It just felt like it was thrown in there to kind of put a twist. And I don't feel like it necessarily paid off that twist. But, what I appreciate, though, is at least it appears that Sylvester Stallone did a lot of the action. Pretty sure he didn't. But, he gets into it. And a lot of good violence, So I'm really giving it that kind of mid-range, it's good but not great kind of review here.
All right, well, yeah, it looks to me like, in a way, it kind of looks like, remember Unbreakable with Bruce Willis? Mm-hmm. It looks a little bit like that.
Yeah, but they really played into
like that at all?
The aspect of it. There's a gimmick, and the gimmick kind of plays itself out, but there's not a lot of weight and depth behind that gimmick.
Okay. So Samaritan, you would just say, is okay. That's what a couple people in the chat said.
Yeah.
Samaritan was okay. It seems like one of those things that's like good enough for streaming, but
Yeah.
but not much beyond that. And
Yeah.
it's on Prime Video right now, which a lot of other things are coming to Prime Video.
I know. I know. I'm glad that this came out now, so it's not overwhelmed by what we think will be greatness coming out of Amazon Prime Video
No. We're
tonight.
going to be talking about that later tonight. Hey, I was just on the live stream with Gary Beekler from Nerdrotic, and always love doing that, man. That guy, when he does these reviews, he goes into such detail. I mean, we're like off the top of our head, just kind of talking about these movies, giving you like our sort of pass fail, or your mileage may vary if you like this type of movie. That certainly is true when it comes to a lot of independent films. It's like you kind of have to like that kind of movie to even like dive into it. Like we talked with the director Owen Klein last week. Owen Klein, what a character last week. Owen Klein from the movie Funny Pages, which I strongly recommend. If you're someone who just spent way too much time at a comic book shop, that movie's kind of made for you. It's made for people who are super obsessed with the non-superhero comics, like the Peter Baggy Neat stuff, Daniel Clowes, 8-Ball, or Chester Brown Yummy for those kinds of comics. That Arena, Love and Rockets, etc. Like it, I love that kind of thing. But if you don't like that subject, you're not going to like that movie, right? You're not. So it's maybe kind of a narrow audience, but it does what indie films do really well, which is a character study. So,
yeah, I mean, I certainly felt that way, but I could definitely see you and Owen hanging out all night at a bar somewhere.
Yeah, and it's like one of those, because he's the kind of person that when you go to a comic book shop, like the people that like you get into like these impassioned debates about characters, events in comics, whatever certain runs or artists, writer combos that were great, or just whatever it is. Like, this is what I love also about like the experience of going to a comic book shop, was just finding someone who's as passionate about you. We don't have to agree, but at least we can have that debate. And I think that that's what's always fun about talking about things like, well, like She-Hulk. But switching gears on that, I want to talk about this movie 13 Lives, which I don't know that I've even talked to anybody who's seen it yet.
I've been avoiding this movie.
You've been avoiding this movie?
Yeah, not in a bad way. It's just the subject matter. I tried watching the documentary that this movie's based on, and I had a hard time getting through it just because of the tension and the anxiety of the story itself. Real people put in, a life-threatening situation, and with no guarantee that they're going to survive.
Yeah, so 13 Lives is currently on Prime Video, and it's about a group of kids in Thailand that go, like, they're about to celebrate a birthday, they're playing soccer, they're having fun, and their coach takes all these kids, and they're like, oh, we want to check out the caves. They go into this cave, and in the midst of their visit into the cave floods. There's some rain, the cave floods, and they are trapped at the very end of this chasm. And it's a true story. You probably heard about it in the news, but you heard about that, oh, these kids were trapped in the cave and they were rescued. The real story behind it is harrowing. I found it difficult. I watched it really late at night, like, oh, let's check it out. Midnight, right? I turned on this movie that ends up being 2.5 hours, riveted, couldn't get to sleep. If you are claustrophobic, this movie is going to, I don't think there should be trigger warnings on movies. But I will say this: if you are claustrophobic, like that movie, if you saw that movie Buried with Ryan Reynolds, that movie I found difficult to watch. And if you are claustrophobic, 13 Lives is going to also be difficult for you to watch. So takes that true story and tells you how they accomplished this rescue. And even though you know what happens at the end, you don't know how they pulled this off. And the actors Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell, and Joel Edgerton play these cave divers that are professional cave divers that have assessed it and like, oh no, those kids are going to die. There's no way to get them out because they have to go through this. And what I really love what Ron Howard, the director of the movie, does in this film is he shows you like a map of like where they are and how you've got to go through this like narrow space through the cave that's like, is it 2 kilometers? It's like 2 kilometers and takes 6 hours. So you've got your oxygen tank, you've got 6 hours to go all the way through. And then you go to the part where all the kids are, just at least for the moment, safely encased, but there's no way. How do you get them 2 kilometers all the way back when some of the narrow parts of the cave you can barely traverse?
Yeah.
I found it so like, I may be claustrophobic in some way. Not necessarily in real life, but like when I watch a movie that's like this, like I will never go cave diving. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. I'm not an adventure sports guy, oddly enough. Okay. My idea of roughing it is staying at a Courtyard Marriott, right? That's rough for me. I'm not a big guy. I'm going camping. I just, I call
it unforced errors. There are things you do in your life that could get you killed. And what is the reason you do it? If you get killed, that's what we call the unforced error. You did something stupid that you had you didn't have to do it.
Exactly.
And cave diving is one of those things.
Exactly. Like when I found out I was born with 1 kidney, so I only have 1 kidney, and my doctor was like, well, one thing, you can't donate a kidney. And second thing, he said I wouldn't go skydiving and I would avoid contact sports. And I'm like, avoiding contact sports? Done. Not going to do that. Easy. But this film really captures like what it was like. And Viggo, Colin Farrell, and Joel Edgerton, great actors. They play these real life cave divers who helped rescue these kids, but they had to come up with this ingenious way to get them out of the cave. I'm not going to ruin it. Because it's so like they lay out like, no, these kids are going to die. There's no way. This is not possible to do. And they figure out some way to make it happen. And it's like gripping right up until the very end. Like what's weird is I think 13 Lives is one of the best movies I've seen this year. And it's on freaking Prime Video. And I'm looking at this going, why was this not released in theaters? Why was this film not released in theaters?
Well, I think there's an expectation of the box office you have to do in order to appear in a theater.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of these, you're not, the only thing coming to theaters are the big blockbuster action movies. And a dramatic story like this, one that does create anxiety. It's not something, I don't think the studios feel like it's strong enough to draw an audience big enough.
Well, that's disappointing. Like I was talking to someone on Twitter about this who mentioned the movie 13 Lives. And I said, yeah, it's just the wrong kind of superheroes, right? Like it's not superheroes with capes. It's like, these are real life guys who like did this. Like, and
they are putting their lives on the line in order to save these kids as well. I think that's the biggest thing is not only was it dangerous, it was not easy. And then the kids had to be taught how to scuba dive instantly in order for them to survive.
Yeah, that's not a thing that's teachable with these kids that are weakened from spending, I don't know, they were in the cave for like 2 weeks.
2 days maybe at that point?
What's that? Well, at that point, they had not eaten food. They were just sitting in that cave in the dark because they didn't have flashlights. And their coach taught them like meditation, like how to just meditate and calm yourself so that you're not, and there's also limited air in there as well, right? Like it was crazy. And they had to it was interesting because it wasn't just like the fact that they were caught in the cave. It was raining and they had to redirect. They did this thing where they basically flooded these fields and destroyed all these farmers' crops by redirecting the water over the mountain, which was like a sacrifice that they had to make. It's like, okay, if these kids have a chance to survive, water can't continue to pour in through the top. So they redirected the water down the hill. Like, Alan, I can't recommend this movie enough. It's one of my favorites of this year, but I wish I'd seen it in a theater. But the fact that I saw it I started watching it at midnight, and then by the end, I'm like, oh, I can't fall asleep now. I'm kind of freaked out. Because when they really illustrate very well like what was at stake, why it was impossible, like the sense of claustrophobia. You're in the dark in a wet cave, you haven't eaten, and you're sitting there. Now they get the kids food, they kind of get them ready to attempt a rescue, but they were like, yeah, we're going to be pulling. It's interesting because they pull all the media out. They're like, because like, well, we may be pulling out dead bodies. Like, we don't know how this is going to work. Right. So even if you know the story, I don't want to tell you like how this rescue is pulled off. I'll just say, can't recommend this movie enough. And why was this movie not in theaters? And Samaritan, even like, okay, Samaritan is getting a mixed review. It's just okay. But like, that could have just been released in theaters. It's weird because like in the last month, I've seen Jaws, E.T., and Back to the Future in a theater. Okay. And they're releasing in anticipation of the Rings of Power. They're re-releasing Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's actually, I think it's playing at the Frida Cinema. Like,
yeah, it
one
is.
movie a day, or is it like, are they doing all in one?
It's one movie a day, and I believe they're the extended editions too.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love that they're doing that. And well, I mean, also it's going to stand in contrast to like whatever this Rings of Power.
It's going to put to shame. It's you would think Amazon would prevent these screenings from going on before their show goes online.
I think this is going to be a big rivalry between, you've got Warner Brothers, which has, the original Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings, right? And they've come out with House of the Dragon, which we can I'd like to talk about for a little bit. But let's go to our chat questions here and see what people are saying. Holy cow, we've got some super chats here. Let me get to these super chats. Got a lot of George. I owe you a phone call, George Molo. I owe you a phone call. I literally texted myself, call George. So watched it, and George Molo says for $9.99, thank you for that. Watched it and loved the movie. 13 Lives is phenomenal. Thank you again, Chris, for opening so many new worlds for us to explore. Yeah, like, look, I love when it's good. I love your superhero big budget spectacle stuff. I love it when it's good. It's less often now that it's good these days, but I take solace in the fact that like there are other things out there to see, like a 13 Lives, or you've got options like Samaritan. Your mileage may vary on that one, but thank you, George, for that. That's great.
Here's the other thing about 13 Lives is no, I'll just say that the publicity on this has been horrible. And the only reason I remembered it was on Prime is because you just brought it up now. But
right,
it's like I've not heard anything about this movie except for maybe someone talking about it one time.
I want to say thank you to George for the $49.99. $49.99. You know what? We gotta celebrate with something for $49.99. There's gotta be something, some video that we can show to show our appreciation. I don't even know what videos we can show these days because we've been getting dinged a lot lately with like copyright stuff. Our
anything with music. And
the other thing is, when we first launched the channel, we were like we weren't doing any content. We just like, well, let's have a film threat channel. What should we do? Well, we'll post independent film trailers. And a lot of the trailers that we posted in like 2017, 2018, 2019, we're all getting like which I don't care. We actually don't monetize our movie trailers. If you see trailers in front of the movies, we didn't put them there. We don't monetize trailers because we don't technically own it, but it's a commercial. It's a piece of advertising. So we do post trailers for indie movies, but those can get claimed by the copyright holder, not us. And that's not a strike. That's just them saying, hey, we own this, but we appreciate you opening it up to our audience. So we will post trailers for indie films, but now a bunch of them are getting claimed. Like we got our first copyright strike from a trailer for an Indian movie that we posted in 2018. So we're on high alert here with this strike, but I want to say to George, thank you again. All hail fans being vindicated. New reviews, trashing Rings. Love Film Threat. Always enjoy listening and learning from you both. All hail Chris and Alan. Well, thank you, George, for that. And I owe you a phone call. It's on. I literally texted myself, call George. because we got stuff to talk about. Although I have been locked at Bobby Schwartz's place in Riverside, California for days, like just like literally obsessing over like you could cut 5 seconds of that. You could slide the audio. This is like what we're trying to do is like just build up the energy of the documentary. And part of like how we're doing that is like you cut 5 seconds, you trim here, you trim here. We're doing what they call the fine cut. So for anyone like fine cut, and you're taking like the audio for a scene that's about to come on, slides into the last 2 seconds of the shot before, and it has the cumulative effect of making the movie go like that, just picking up the pacing. So that was something that when we did our test screening at San Diego Comic-Con, you know, I was like, we just got to tighten. We got to chop like 5 minutes out of this, but there's not much story we can lose. And God, Bobby Schwartz, man. We're already talking about like, what's the next movie we're going to make? But we don't want to make an archival documentary because can I just say those are difficult. Archival docs are crazy.
I think part of the problem is you're in Riverside at this time of the year.
Oh, it was like 105 degrees and he lives right by an airport. So there's like planes constantly taking off. Oh, we had fun. I mean,
105 is not that bad for Riverside.
It wasn't that bad, but no, we've been having fun. I mean, like, I think that like, just like I can't work with anyone who doesn't have a good sense of humor, and that's what I rarely say anything nice about Alan in front of Alan. I'll do it behind his back all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be working with Alan. But Alan has a great sense of humor. I know this mainly because I've seen you do, improv comedy. And just, I don't know, I can't work with people that don't have a good sense of humor about themselves. So that's the last nice thing I'm ever going to say. It'll never enjoy it. I'm never going to say anything nice about Alan ever again.
Can I question whether you have a drinking problem right now, or have you been drinking too much lately? Have you?
What, me? Water?
I know. I mean, in all reality, this is actually the second compliment you've given me within 24 hours. So.
Oh, but the other one wasn't public.
I know.
Private.
That's what I'm saying is the frequency is ramping up here.
All right. Well, okay. All right. Thank you, Alan, for pointing this out. I will now end it.
I know. I'm a masochist. Okay. I love abuse.
George, again, I really enjoyed Samaritan. See, George Molo for 1999. Thank you for that, George. We appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like it's also like because there's like not a lot of stuff out there, and I just actually like Stallone. Mm-hmm. I mean, think of the characters that he's created.
Yeah, I mean, you like Stallone in this movie. He gives a really good performance. It's not a Rocky performance, but it's a good performance.
I met him once. He was the nicest guy. He's sort of like, he's just used to it. It's just like, oh yeah, you want to, and it's just like, hey, can I get a picture? I did get a picture with him. And what did he do? He went like this with his fist. He made a fist like right up to my face. And then I realized he does that pose in every photo. If you look up photos of like Sylvester Stallone, just sort of candid, like him taking pictures with people, he always does the fist right up to your face. It's pretty funny.
I've always found him to be a thoughtful man too, in terms of interviews and even the nature of Rocky, the movie itself. It's a very thoughtful movie.
And dang, another $50 super chat. Holy crap.
Thank you.
Jamin D, Alan, Chris, sending your Disney share that they asked me to pass on because they found out. I also enjoyed 2 episodes so far. I love you guys. Wow. Oh, well, thank you for that. You're talking about She-Hulk. Look, here's what I'll say is why. Let me explain why I'm enjoying She-Hulk, okay? To go off just for a quick sec, is that I always loved that character in the Fantastic Four comics. Okay, I didn't read the other runs. I'm aware of her origin, but like I never read that run of her with the mafia and whatnot. I just didn't read it. I was like, oh, She-Hulk, she's replacing the Thing. I was all obsessed with the Fantastic Four. And what I like about her as a character is, and this stands in contrast to all the other female characters that they've introduced in the Marvel Disney Plus universe. Okay. They're all perfect and the bestest ever. And what I like about Tatiana Maslany, how she's approached this character is she's flawed. She doesn't win all the time. She has a boss who's kind of a jerk. She has coworkers that she has to like struggle with. She has things in life that she has to struggle with. Her family, she doesn't have the perfect life, and she's not the bestest ever. She's a flawed character. And I talked about this I've talked about this a couple times actually, and I'm sure, feel free to call me a sexist when I say this, but one of the big critiques of She-Hulk is that she has this sort of list of complaints, and people are attacking like the complaints that she's making. I'm just like, I just sit here and I go, wait, have you ever met a woman that didn't complain at some point about things? Like, complain? Yes, I know. I have lost half the audience, and by half I mean maybe 5%. But like, complaining is kind of her superpower, right? It's like, that's a superpower, and no one does it better. I feel like as men, and maybe this is a stereotype, as men, we kind of suck it up. We're just like, all right, well, life sucks. Okay, this happened. I'll go fix it. Like, you just sort of do that shit, you know? And I feel like, you know, I don't know. Is this a sexist statement? Type yes if yes. But it's also like, I don't expect her to be perfect or the best at the beginning. I expect her to have a character arc. And I feel what they may be doing is setting up a character arc. The problem is, and go watch Call Me Chato, Chato. Go watch Paul Chato's channel. He's done a couple of videos. He did a great video about man babies, which I thought was fantastic. Then he's done a couple of videos about She-Hulk and also kind of explaining sitcom format. The problem with sitcom format is no one grows or changes. Everyone at the end ends up always the same as where they began. Where people changes in movies. So it's possible that they're setting her up. It's like, yeah, she's kind of, you know, she's flawed, right? She's flawed like real people are. And I would hope that they would have her character, Jennifer Walters, have her change and grow in the arc of her character. We saw Bruce Banner, the Hulk, have an arc through different movies. Changes happen to him. I'd like to see changes with She-Hulk, how she looks at the world. Maybe I need to look at things differently. Maybe I need to be more empathetic to my cousin because she's not very empathetic towards Bruce. Yeah. I agree. Like, so when I hear people criticize it, what the criticisms are, I'm like, oh, I agree with those criticisms. And are they setting her up to be as a character that will go through an arc? Like Tony Stark starts out as a selfish asshole, and he ends up being a selfless person who saves the world and the universe.
I mean, the arc here is essentially she's trying to come to grips with her new superpowers and take advantage of that. She's more or less being forced to take advantage of that in her new job as the lawyer for superheroes, when she really just wants to be a lawyer. You know, and I think this is the problem that the Disney Plus shows have been having, is that their characters aren't imperfect, and they don't have that arc, which this one has. You know, you're gonna see her being challenged herself, her character, and I think that's the most refreshing thing about this, and I think that's why it stands out amongst the other Disney Plus shows. Ms. Marvel, she didn't have a struggle of anything. Her struggle was she was different. You know, she was Muslim. And but her character never changed throughout the entire series, except she got superpowers.
And that's uninteresting. It's so uninteresting to see perfect. That's why I think Captain Marvel might be the worst character. I mean, to me, the worst character in the Marvel universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and in particular, Brie Larson playing that character, I just found incredibly unlikable, unrelatable, like, just nowhere to go. Whereas at least I feel like with how they've begun, right? We're 2 episodes in. You and I have seen the next 2 episodes, which I can't wait to hear the reaction.
Okay, hey, Madison alone.
Madison. When you meet Madison, she's like this, a word you don't hear very often. She's a floozy. She's a floozy party girl. She's hanging out with wongers.
And a supposed woke show has a character like this.
It's crazy that this you can't, after the introduction of Madison spelled like, well, you'll see the character. Is she in this episode or the 4th one?
She's in both.
That's right. She's in both.
because this one sets up. It's basically the Wong storyline.
But look, I want to see more well-rounded female characters, and you know what? They may end up being unlikable at the start, but I would expect them. I expect like on that journey to like, you know, them coming to some self-realization as Tony Stark was allowed to do, and as you know, I mean, I think now like Marvel's just like when it comes to like I really think they just should have stopped after Endgame, like just stop. But it's a corporation; they're not going to stop. They're going to milk it to death. But this is, like I say, it's the first Disney Plus show I've enjoyed. Mm-hmm. But hey, we've got like 200.
Yeah, keep going. We got lots of comments.
269 people watching. It's going up. It's going up. Oh wow! So slap that like button. I mean, no. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Let me get through these. We got a lot of comments here. Let me get through these. CD Stein 69, who's a member. Thank you for that. Later today, giving away 10. I have 10 codes to give away. Okay, so 10 codes. They're just going to go up, and it's basically going to be the first person to just use that code. So just go. You'll see all the information will be in the graphic that I'm going to post. I'm just going to post the codes, and then first come, first serve. CD Stein 69 says it's wild to see these movies that we've seen happen, even though we know they've taken liberties with the true stories. Amazing that they were able to save these kids. Talking about 13 Lives. Yeah, it's fantastic. Dempsey, a bunch of kids. Were they very good child actors? Says Dempsey, I will say this. The teeth on all the child actors were great. All the child actors' teeth had great teeth.
Yeah, so Thailand has a good dental program for children.
Dentistry in Thailand must be at a pinnacle. But it's no, look, that was my complaint about first of all, I thought the actress who played Princess Leia in the Kenobi show, I didn't think she was a very good actress. And then she had bad teeth. She's supposed to be British. What's going on?
I will say the script didn't help her out either.
I'm doing good this show. This show I've insulted all women, the British,
little girls.
There we go. But I will say this, and we're going to talk about House of the Dragon in a minute. We're going to go through these, and then we're going to go through these chat comments, and then we're going to talk about House of the Dragon. I thought that the younger actors in House of the Dragon were fantastic. They're very believable. So let's keep going through these. Patrick Lemire is here. 13 Lives is the kind of movie Amazon Prime will cut when ROP eats production budget. It's unfortunately, yeah. Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate because that's kind of the thing that streaming does well is a film like this. It's just disheartening. Like, why didn't this movie get a theatrical release? At least like, what is Netflix is putting out a couple of films in theaters and on streaming like a month later. There's a couple movies they're coming out with.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah,
especially award season. Definitely an award season.
218 per wiki. 13 Lives was supposed to be theatrical in April, then postponed to November after positive test screenings, but moved to Prime after Amazon bought MGM. That's weird. Thank you, 218, for looking at Wikipedia. Hint, hint, Alan. You could have done that.
I could have, but I didn't.
Okay. George Molo. George is going to the free screening tonight for Rings of No Profit. Yeah, I was joking around with, might have been Gary from Nerdrotic or saying that like the movie is going to be the lowest grossing film at the box office. 0. It's going to be 0 because they're charging nothing.
No, I mean, the success of Ring of Powers financially will be increased subscriptions for Amazon Prime. And I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
That's the only reason they're doing this is to increase subscriptions. And the buzz before it, which has been horrible, is not attracting people to this property.
No. Scary Gary, Alan's blank face combined with videos crack me up every time. Yeah, it's interesting. Whenever I put up any of these videos, I never watch the video. I always watch Alan's face. If they make Alan laugh, I think that's saying something. Working our way through the comments here. Clone 42, any kind of music except nipple plunger performances.
Oh yeah, I got a flag basically.
Yeah, that stuff. Unfortunately, we're just, I don't know. I feel like I'm still learning YouTube. We've only had a Film Threat YouTube channel since a long time ago. But yeah, it's weird. I'm still learning. The Tomb of Dracula, Samaritan is the best Stallone film since Cobra. That's a resounding endorsement.
Creed. I mean,
Patrick Lemire, who's a member, thank you for that. It's such a weird thing. You are driving audience to movies and getting a strike for your trouble. Yeah, like
I know.
We showed a trailer for RRR once, and we got a strike for that. It's crazy. Alan love emoji. Win Dempsey. It's coming. There's a new emoji coming. Thanks to Glinuccio. We have a new emoji coming, which is, I think, the Alan nipple emoji. It is coming. John Witchboy, Alan improv comedy video needs to happen.
Yeah.
Did they let you film at the place?
No, I mean, okay. So if you're familiar with the improv world, we're actually a legitimate theater, meaning, you know, we have big audiences and we're there for the public and not for other improv performers. And so as a result, we do not film the shows. So, but not to say you can't sneak in and video my performance.
Well, there you go.
Or pay a ticket, I should say. Yeah.
If you're curious, the National Comedy Theater, it's in San Diego. Tickets are reasonably priced. And are you there every weekend, Alan? Or
no, I'll actually be there on Saturday. And then
this Saturday.
Yeah, and then every other week until the 1st of October. So I'm doing 3 shows this month.
Oh, great. I will just definitely remind people.
Yeah.
We could throw up a link to the a link to where you can get tickets. Yeah. Not the Batman. Stallone is also a pretty underrated writer. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. He doesn't people think he's the character that he is on screen, and that's not him. He never, it's funny because he wrote a movie about a character, the first Rocky, wrote a movie about a character who basically is just striving for respect. And I still feel Stallone has never been respected in the industry. But when you look at the box office, you look at the franchises he's created, never given enough credit. War Monkey, you guys are great together, enjoyable to watch. Well, we'll see. We'll see. As long as Alan, we'll see how long Alan lasts.
I know. Like, what if I liked Ring of Power?
Oh my God. I would love that.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
You could do, it's so funny. You could do a stream with Lofty Pixels.
Yeah. I feel bad because there's such hate for this series and we have yet to see it. And you know, that goes in my mind is like, what if I actually like this thing?
Well, but I think that the reasons are valid. It's not like, I think that the reasons are so valid for this. Like when you look at just look at the trailers. They look like.
I still have my Lord of the Rings story I have to tell you, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that I don't know anything about Rings of Power, even after all the trailers I've seen. I know nothing of the story.
I was literally, I'm at Islands for happy hour. Okay. There's a couple good happy hours at Yard House and Islands. By happy hour, I mean like the food is cheaper. So you can get good deals. And this is, we all do like a meetup at the AMC Burbank 16 on Thursday nights. We go there and we'll do a little meetup where we'll grab some food, drinks, and go see whatever movie's opening. But boy, it is slim pickings for the month of September. Let me tell you that. And I was talking to a guy at Islands who brought it up. He goes, "Have you heard of this Rings of Power thing?" He goes, "I have no idea what it's about." And I said, "Me either." That's my exact comment. It's like, what is it about? Who is it? I don't know. It's like, here's generic fantasy series is sort of what they should call the show.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, why should I care? All you're doing is showing me characters, pictures of characters, and really nice locations. But other than that, I don't know why you want me to watch this show.
Robot Dues says, well, it can't be the law aspects because the writers and the showrunner said they don't know law, so they skipped that court stuff, which is an odd choice for a law show. You're talking about She-Hulk. Yeah, they specifically said, this is the thing also, it's just like, oh, like She-Hulk's kind of entertaining. And then I started reading like things that Tatiana Maslany was saying, and then the main showrunner, Jessica Gao, and I'm like, oh, now I hate this. I'm starting to not like aspects of the show just because of what they said. And I'm just like, oh no,
they need to stop doing this publicity tour for all their stuff. Just present the material and let it speak for itself.
And it's just like, oh, you're kind of ruining it for me because you're calling attention to stuff that like, I was just like, oh, that's like a funny, dumb
like
joke.
Subtext.
And really it's like, oh, wow, okay. Now you're calling this stuff out. It was irritating, but yeah, you're right. They did. I mean, also look, it's a superhero lawyer show with, I mean, like it's all superhero related court cases. What's the precedent and laws for things like that? I mean, it's sort of ridiculous when you think about it. So I think
episode 3 is about Abomination's parole hearing, and you're gonna get the lawyer stuff in that, and then his supporters who come to the meeting is hilarious. But you know, we're getting into the meat of the show.
Yeah, I think once it was sort of like, because I just binged all 4 in a row and watched it. It was just like, it's kind of fun. I can't believe I'm actually liking it. I mean, there were things that stood out that's like, oh, that annoys me. But I also think that we haven't seen a character that's imperfect, right? She's not perfect. She's got some things to work on, mainly empathy toward her cousin. And I think that that's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. Like perfect characters are annoying. Dempsey, the thing that I like about your stance on She-Hulk is that you have a legitimate argument for your stance. You aren't just blindly choosing a side. I respect that. Well, thank you, Dempsey. Yeah. And also I pointed out, like, it's made very clear that the Hulk is stronger than her, right? Like, he throws a boulder, she throws it further, he throws it into the freaking atmosphere where it burns up. Like that, he's stronger. So people, I feel like there's like a selectively looking at aspects of She-Hulk to make a point, and I get that, but I can counter with other things how I experienced it, and also pointing out that I haven't liked any of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, with the exception of the way at least the first half of WandaVision I thought was very clever, and then got stupid.
Yeah,
John
first season Mandalorian, I think you like that one. Or
John Witchboy, the Thing was a big deal back in the day. He was a comic book A-lister like Spider-Man. Now people barely know who he is. I used to read when I was a kid. Thank you for that, John. I used to read when I was a kid. It was the Marvel 2-in-1. It's like Thing had his own comic for a while. Whereas basically just the Thing kind of like having adventures, and there'd be like some guest hero in it.
Well, let's not forget the reason She-Hulk joins the Fantastic Four is because the Thing got his own comic book series.
Right.
And they pulled him out of the Fantastic Four to tell that story.
Also, just a great way to promote She-Hulk. Jeff C., why isn't She-Hulk's hair curly like Jen's? I think it just changes. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Well, here, let's. I mean, this is issue 1 of She-Hulk, and you can see, it gets longer when she becomes She-Hulk, and then her clothes somehow magically sews itself back together when she becomes back to Jen.
There you go.
I mean, it's inconsistent across the board, basically.
Robot Dudes, it's more the fact that she is unsympathetic and Hulk doesn't try and correct her. Also, she wasn't like that in the comics. Yeah, but, there are going to be some creative liberties. My feeling is she will come to a better understanding of what Bruce has been through. And it's not going to happen in the TV show. I feel like sitcoms really, like Dempsey has a comment here following up. Dempsey says sitcoms center around character flaws that never grow. It's true. Paul Chato talks about this on his channel, Call Me Chato. Like sitcom characters, crazy stuff can happen during the show, and back at the end, Jack Tripper is still pretends to be gay with two female roommates. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the comic. That's the formula in a sitcom. A character has a flaw, and the actions of the episode exploit that flaw, basically.
Shucksy says, I've watched too many videos of legitimate criticism ripping She-Hulk a new one. No, I've watched those videos too. They didn't change my mind. It's weird how those two opinions, I believe those two opinions can coexist. Mm-hmm. They can coexist. And I would argue that the Jen Walters She-Hulk is an interesting character because she's not perfect. Whereas all these other female characters are the bestest ever. That's awful. So what do you want? Do you want characters with flaws that need to learn something that's part of the journey, right? Of a character arc, like a Tony Stark starting as kind of a selfish asshole, turning into a selfless hero. I mean, there needs to be an arc. And so we're presented with the opportunity for one, is what I'm saying. And I agree with you, Shucksy. I watch those videos, I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm still, I
still like it.
I still like it. And her specific flaws make her unlikable, and I strongly suspect she will not get any more likable. Fair point, Shucksy. Fair point.
I will tell you what will ruin the series if Madison becomes woke at the end of the series.
Robot Dude says, I'm happy you like it, but she won't overcome anything. They already showed that she can't have Bruce show her anything. They even changed her origin because she can't have a man save her. Well, I will say this. I have had similar experiences, right? Where I maybe have a legitimate reason to complain, but you know what? I have found many times women just want to be heard and they want you to hear them. They don't like when you give them advice. And look, this is not me saying this. Go to any book about male-female relationships. A lot of it is women just want to just hear what I'm saying. I don't want you to solve the problem for me. That is a very, very accurate female, mostly female. I know, probably sounds sexist things. Mostly that's a female attribute that is common, which is, I just want to tell you about, and I'm sitting here going like, oh, you should just do this. They don't want to hear advice. That is so accurate to real life because I've experienced it.
I know. I was saying that's pretty much my dating life in my 30s.
Yeah. It's just oh, well, here, mainly because I don't want to hear you continue to talk about and complain about this. Here's the way to solve this problem. Can we go on to the next subject?
Look, if you only did this,
I just want to complain. Hey, 300 watching right now. If you are new to the channel, please slap that subscribe button. We appreciate it when you do that. Oh, wow. Do you know why you should slap that subscribe button?
Holy fucking shit, these reviews are delicious.
Yeah, they're delicious. Let me go through here because we have a guest coming on in 13 minutes. We have a guest. CD Stein 69 for $9.99 says She-Hulk in the comics had real situations and totally bonkers ways. Yeah, there was that whole mafia subplot. Mm-hmm. And had the stereotypical 90s self-confident attitude while sleeping around. Even got kicked out of the Avengers mansion once for it. Yeah, I mean, this is different. It's not the comics, but it takes elements of it. And I think that I just like the portrayal of the character because if they wanted her to be the bestest ever, she would be perfect. A lot of the complaints are she's not listening to Bruce. It's that's not a trait that I feel like that's a flawed trait, right? She needs to better learn empathy for her cousin, and that could end up happening. But here, I have a prediction. Remember I said this because it's not going to happen for a couple of years. Any character arc that pays off won't happen in the TV show. It will happen in the movies. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. Jen Walters is going to have, because this is the problem with these Marvel Disney Plus shows, is everything that happens is inconsequential and doesn't matter, which is now leaked over into the movies. And John Witchboy asking a very relevant question. How were the chairs in 13 Lives? They were not IKEA chairs. Let me just say that.
They saved lives.
The Matrix has you. I just read The Rings of Power cost $60 million per episode, $58 million I heard, and no action sequences took place in the first 2 episodes.
So how many?
I hear this.
How many subscribers do they need to recoup 60 million per episode? I mean, this is mind-boggling.
Don't think that's gonna happen. VDR, the first strike I got on my channel was showing an Indian clip. I think Bollywood watches it closely. Yeah. Thank you for that, VDR. Yeah, it's if you show anything Indian, just you're gonna get strike. So it sucks. And I even sent the production company like, hey, we're promoting your trailer. You can claim it or we can take it down, but they never communicated with us. We just got a copyright strike.
I'm sure they have some like lawyer troll who just scours YouTube.
It's got to be a bot or something. CD Stein 69. Sometimes Alan's making the same face in the video as he does watching it.
Well, I was there when it happened.
And Dempsey, don't forget R2. Hashtag R2. Shaxi, Rings of Power will be a success as long as no one finds out about the money laundering. I feel like a lot of the indie film business could potentially be money laundering because most of the people that invest in independent films have no expectation of getting their money back. And so for the most part, they're investing basically as a way to brag to their friends that they invested in an indie movie. I don't know how that happens.
I should tell you my Lord of the Rings story. Last night, I told my daughter and I have this thing where she doesn't want to see the movies I liked as a kid. And so I wanted her to just watch the Lord of the Rings. And I said, tell you what, tonight, all you have to do is I just need you to watch the prologue because I'm going to be seeing Rings of Power. And I want to get your thoughts on the prologue, just the events leading up to this moment. So we sat down, started watching just the first prologue, 5 minutes. When it's over, I turned it off and she goes, what are you doing? Keep playing. And so we got, I go, well, I don't have 3 hours right now. We'll go a little bit. We got all the way up to before the hobbits meet Aragorn. And she goes, we're only 30 minutes in. And she goes, already, I'm only 30 minutes in, and this is better than Harry Potter.
Well, it's, I think that those movies so hold up because they were made to be timeless.
Yeah.
The Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings films. Blah blah says you don't put multi-billion-dollar property in the hands of rookies. 100% agree. Robot Dudes, we agree she isn't perfect, but does the show think she isn't? Do the writers think she isn't? I don't know. I mean, we're judging it. I felt like the reviews of the first episode were harsh but justified because everyone reviewing it hadn't seen what the show is. So it was I see all those criticism. Yeah, that seems valid. I saw things differently. But there are some things. Episode 4 kind of bugged me a little bit. That's a show where she goes on a date. Yeah. She goes on a date in episode 4.
I actually
like trailers, huh?
But, I think they do know because it's written like a sitcom back in the 90s. The elements are all there.
It's so similar to that format that it just feels like one of those kind of shows. A Chernobog for $4.99 and a member. Thank you for that. Have you guys seen Vengeance with BJ Novak? Not only did we see it, there's a review on the channel. Is there a Vengeance review that's like clipped? It was on one of our live streams a couple weeks ago. Have you guys seen Vengeance with BJ Novak? It was a really deep movie with great performances. Ashton Kutcher was surprisingly good. I agree with that. And in addition, Chernobog, since you're a member, there's pictures that I posted where I had a whole conversation with BJ Novak. I met him at the screening, and I basically told him to go see RRR, he had a whole conversation. He's like, oh, Film Threat. I know Film Threat. It was weird when like someone who's in the industry knows who I am. I feel a little awkward and weird about it, but he knows Film Threat. And he asked me, like, what have you seen recently that's really good? Because he knows our specialty is indie film. And so we had a whole conversation about RRR. So there you go.
Yes, we do have a review of Vengeance clipped out.
We don't have it?
We do have it.
We do have it. Okay, so it's on the channel, Chernobog. And check the members tab. You'll see a whole little story I tell about meeting BJ Novak. We had a conversation about that. And then we talked about The Office kind of getting a pass because they've tried to, like, cancel it because it's politically incorrect. Hey, Cardinal Sin for 20 and a super sticker. Thank you for that, Cardinal Sin. Subscribe to Cardinal Sin's channel. And he goes on to say, lick that like button for Film Threat. And Dempsey says, wow, love the generosity in the chat. Hail. Yeah, we're getting like, I don't know what's with the super chats today. They're on fire. Dempsey, Chris is wrong. Tell all the women you ever meet to calm down and smile. They will love you for it and make you a king. That's true. Just tell them that. Calm down. Smile. You look nice today. Yeah, I know. But I feel like the show is at least, look, the show is not trying to be real life. It's trying to be a type of show, a 90s legal sitcom. And I think on that level, it works in the realm of superheroes. Is it the greatest thing ever and will cure cancer? No. And I don't think it was trying to. And it's not saving lives like the Rings of Power.
And let's not forget, there's still 5 more episodes and they could still screw it up.
Now, Alan, our special guest is coming on, the director of Tiger 24, which is an amazing documentary. Got a great review on Film Threat. I have not seen the film, so you're going to have to like do the intro.
Yeah.
And you'll have to take over on the interview. We have 2 filmmakers coming up in the next and I'm excited to talk to
I've not seen the other film, so.
And Paul Rouleau became a member. Thank you for that. I'll be posting those codes right after the show. I'm posting the codes. So check that member tab and grab yourself a free movie. I think that might be a better way for us to do giveaways now. Let's just give stuff away. I love giving free stuff away. And by the way, if you want a Film Threat sticker for free, give you the sticker. You just go to send a self-addressed stamped envelope, send it to Film Threat, 5042 Wilshire Boulevard, PMB 1500, Los Angeles, California, 90036. I'll send you a sticker. I'll send you, if you send me a big enough envelope with enough postage, I'll send you a DVD. I'll send you a book. I'll send you other free stuff that might be lying around. I've got the director of, do you remember we had the director of a movie called Turbo Cola on?
Sweet.
The director of Turbo Cola sent me an actual bottle of, I wonder if this is real cola. Turbo Cola is the name of the movie, independent film that I strongly recommend. Check it out. I'm going to open this up and see, is this actual, is this a Coke? If it's a Coke.
Oh, I heard the fizz.
Or a Diet Pepsi or something, I'm going to be.
I will say, I've lived in LA all my life, and we never pronounced it Wilshire.
Wilshire?
It's Wilshire Boulevard.
It's Wilshire, but I'm trying to pronounce it that way.
I know.
So people can spell it correctly.
But we don't.
Thank you, Paul, for becoming a member. Thank you for that. We appreciate that quite a lot. Teague for 5. If you did a Street Fighter movie, how would you do it, particularly with the atmosphere? You talk about Street Fighter, the video game. I think that you've got to take it deadly seriously. You've got to take it deadly seriously. That is the way that you would do it. Is really like, it's all about, to me, director is kind of the tone police. That's what a director does. A good director will be this is the tone. We do this, we don't do this. And only the director kind of knows, like, you're trying to reach a certain tone. I think it would be really important because you want to believe that these characters are real, especially Dalsum and Chun-Li.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And Patrick Lemire says, oh, wow, how does that Turbo Cola taste? It tastes like sarsaparilla. And Son of the Red Fox is a member, says, what is considered enough postage? I don't know, if you send like a priority mail and it's like usually like $8 or $9 and it's like just whatever you can fit in the envelope. If it's pre-addressed, I'll just fill it. So there you go. Got some more comments and questions here. Matthew Hammond for $4.99 says, have you seen the trailer for Rob Zombie's The Munsters in black and white? The studio forced him to colorize it. Yeah, that trailer looks awful. I haven't seen the black and white version, but wow. And enough postage. I would just say like a priority envelope. Send one of those. So, but let's switch gears here. We have a special guest coming on. Alan, why don't you do the intro?
Yeah. We have the director of Tiger 24, Warren Pereira. Hi, Warren.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Here, let me get you all moved here.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
When two people are doing the same thing at the same time. Yeah, no, I saw Tiger 24 several months ago. So, very impressed by not only the documentary itself, but by the story of the documentary. But can you, just for the sake of the audience, just describe what is your story about?
Yeah, sure. It's about a tiger that I was following in the wild, and he ended up killing people, and he was declared a man-eater. But there was a controversy because he was killing people within his territory, in the jungles of India. And so when the government removed him, he became a huge deal. There was a high court case, a Supreme Court case, and then there was billboards erected and all this stuff. And so I happened to be the guy following him before he was a sensation. So I had all this professional 4K footage of him, and I realized, I have a real documentary here. I got to actually take this seriously. And, then I had to do the interviews and make a full-on, narrative documentary. And it forced me, which was a good thing, to really understand how to manage a tiger reserve and all the controversies and bureaucracy around it.
Yeah, I mean, it just struck me how much is it? I'm sorry, what country is it in again?
India.
It's in India. Yeah. I mean, just how much I guess the environment, the animals, the tigers are so beloved in a way by at least half the population. But the dangerous nature of the tigers and the drive to save them and keep them alive is, I find an interesting dynamic that goes on in India.
Yeah, I mean, it is the national animal of India, and so it's in the culture to save those animals, but it's also in the law. So they're actually called Schedule 1 animals that have the highest protection, and they have all these laws around taking them out of a tiger reserve. So you can't just say, okay, this tiger killed someone, and so we're going to shoot this tiger or we're going to move him to a zoo. There's an entire process behind it, and I think it's impressive, but I also think it's important because it's very sexy to want to save this beautiful tiger. But when you save these tigers in the wild, you have to save their habitat because their habitats are massive and they have massive territories. So in saving those habitats and territories, you're actually improving the entire ecosystem. You're fighting climate change. You're allowing for species diversity and all kinds of things like that.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the documentary. The thing I appreciate most about documentarians is their ability to shift, because what I got from this is that you went into this documentary thinking you were going to film one thing, and then this event occurred and it shifted the entire thing, the entire story. What were you initially there for, and then what was it like to have to pivot when Tiger 24 Usted actually killed somebody?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, I live in LA, and I was trying to get like a narrative script going because I was trying to get a drama going, right? I couldn't get it going because you need, the money and the star attached and an agent and all these things. But I'm originally from India. So when I was visiting, I started just for fun, went to a tiger reserve and started filming them on a DSLR initially. And I really enjoyed the process. So I thought okay, maybe I'll try to make a tiger doc as a feature and not do this, fictional drama in the US. And so that's how it started. So it started I really didn't know what I was doing, to be honest, just get cool shots and put something together. And I think that's the nature of most of these big cat docs. They have a bunch of shots and then they create a story around it. But then I ended up having a legitimate, really serious, important story when this tiger, allegedly killed people and was then, moved into a zoo.
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing I find. But what was it like when he was essentially arrested? I mean, I mentioned that he killed someone. The documentary makes it clear that that's still in question. We don't know who did it, and I think basically your film becomes a police procedural at this point, a crime procedural,
right?
How were you able to basically change gears and say, wow, we're telling a completely different story, and now you have a whole bunch of completely different players now involved in your story?
I mean, in a way, it kind of informed the narrative, right? Because now we actually had something to focus on. The whodunit, the legalese around a man-eating tiger, an icon for conservation, and a much deeper story. So for me, the shift was actually a good one, but obviously it made it a lot more serious. I think if I just had the footage of him like dragging prey and mating or fighting with other tigers or walking around, I think it would be relatively boring. And I would feel less of a connection and importance to it. But I found myself opening up the Wildlife Protection Act of India, and I remember those days initially when I was looking into this stuff. I said, "Wow, this is a real documentary. I'm really doing something really important. I got to be careful and respectful." So I mean, the pivot was a good one, but it sort of killed me. Editing this thing has taken years and a lot of money out of me and a lot of time. But that's just if you want to do it right, I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly compelling story, and I mean, as much as I love nature documentaries, this just goes wildly in that direction. Hey, if you want to ask Warren some questions, go ahead and post those in the chat. I've got one more, but your subject, Tiger 24, you went in. I just found him very interesting, and I think there seemed to be some kind of a lore around him and a general love for him. I guess he was essentially your main subject going in. Can you talk a little about Tiger 24?
Well, yeah, his name is T24 is the technical name because they numbered the tigers because there's hardly any left in the wild, and Ustad was the name that the locals gave him. Ustad means the master. And he had a mating partner called Noor, and he was monogamous, which is kind of rare for a dominant male tiger, but it made his story more interesting. He was killing or allegedly killing people in between my safaris when I was filming him. So there was this sensation around him already with the locals that he was a man-eater. And they also thought it was cool in a way because he would prevent poachers from going in because he was fearless. Because if you track tigers on foot, which I've done, they'll actually run away from you. They want to avoid any conflict. But he had a reputation, if you came too close, he'd take you out. And so that they felt like he was in a way protecting the forest, away from poachers, etc. So when he became internationally famous, I think the people who already kind of knew him in India, had some ownership over the story. And that's why it became this crazy thing on social media of the activists, fighting against the government. I mean, their argument is that all the attacks occurred within his territory. And the government's argument is that, well, we have to manage a tiger reserve. And so if we don't take some action, the locals can maybe burn the forest or get upset because they're the ones living right by the forest. So we have to take care of them, because really managing a tiger reserve is actually managing all the stakeholders around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure T24 was not following his contracts. Yeah. Chris, we have questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Warren, first of all, thanks for coming on the show today. Really appreciate it. Didn't realize that you were Los Angeles local. I'm in Pasadena. But also, I'm making 2 documentaries right now, one coming out at a festival in October. Yours a totally different kind of documentary. Documentaries, the 2 docs I'm working on are archival documentaries.
Okay.
I'm looking for footage behind a computer on the internet. You were out there in the wild. Did you ever feel unsafe at any moment? Did you feel like your life threatened at any? I mean, Nate, I always admire nature documentary, any nature documentaries, because to do that, 1, you have to have such incredible patience, and 2, your life is often at risk. So did anything happen to you or nearly happen during the filming?
I mean, when you're in the Jeep, which I was for the most part, you're pretty safe, even though it's an open Jeep. Now, in theory, I guess the tiger could come close and just pull you out, especially a big male, like T24. But that, rarely happens. Tourists getting attacked by tigers just doesn't really happen. It has happened, but it's very, very rare. However, for certain parts of this documentary, we got permission from the Forest Department to go on foot because I wanted, as a filmmaker, to understand how these people got killed. So I wanted to actually walk the path from their home, their village, into the area where they got attacked to understand it. And I honestly was excited doing it. Maybe I'm crazy, but I did purchase life insurance for my crew. Okay, so because I didn't want something to happen and me come off as like someone that was not careful. So yeah, I mean, when we walked in, we saw tiger pug marks, we saw some tiger scat, we saw leopard pug marks. In Ranthambore, at least we didn't run into a tiger. I have run into a tiger in another tiger reserve called Bandhavgarh, like a big male, for another tiger doc, which we can talk about or not. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, I don't want to sensationalize what I did. I don't think overall it was that dangerous. I mean, I feel like we obeyed the rules and we're in the Jeep, so for the most part, it was pretty safe.
Yeah. Also, you've got a lot of questions here in the chat. Mind answering some? Got like almost 250 people watching us right now.
Cool.
So let's get to the comments here. Akanika says, welcome, Warren. And Patrick Lemire says, T24 has such a sweet face. And then Dempsey asks, I don't know where he found this out. Is it true that you are a national swimming champion? If so, did that play a part in your direction of the film?
Maybe in the next one on crocodiles, not this one.
Okay. And then Patrick Lemire is asking, did you ever end up in any danger of being Tiger Man?
I don't know what that means.
But... or sorry. And then Glenuccio asks, what is the process like to film a project like this?
That it completely takes over your life and you age rapidly and lose all your money. Yeah.
Especially if you're the producer. I know that from experience. Solomon Thornton asks, how long did it take to film this documentary?
Well, I've been working on it for a decade, but there was only about 4 to 5 years of actual production. And then the rest of it was pickup shots and editorial.
And Not the Batman says, if the paw doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Good one,
so
yeah.
I don't know what
All right.
Says, do you have a tiger that you found to be more endearing than others, or maybe a favorite?
Well, T24. I mean, I was following him before he was a big deal, so obviously I was drawn to him.
Yeah. TimeLink says the name T24 makes it sound like a killing machine, like the Terminator.
Well, I can't take credit because that's literally he's tiger number 24. So T24 is his technical name. Is the government of India. They number the tigers so they can understand which tiger is missing or not missing or whatever.
And
I think you do get a sense that he was a very unique tiger. That this was not just your generic average tiger, but he had lived in that territory and had ruled that territory for a long time. And then when he was taken out, that territory changed drastically at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think in a way he is the ultimate tiger, right? Big, dominant, killing human beings, sort of the ones that when tigers were hunted legally by the Indian and British royals, that you went for the big male with the big head to have this trophy at home. And I think there should be more of him around instead of all these tigers that are kind of like, like pussycats more, I think he's kind of awesome.
And then another question here. Dempsey says, do you have a tiger that you... Oh, wait, we already got to that one. Were you afraid that the tiger would turn on your group that was following him?
No, because it's very safe. I mean, obviously we're not provoking them. We're not driving up and trying to provoke him. We're just trying to follow him. So we weren't saying, hey, can we have a bite of your deer? We're just kind of following from a distance.
I mean, first of all, I encourage, not right now, but later, check out the trailer for Tiger 24. It's incredible, amazing. And also it's interesting to see a real tiger. I don't know if you saw the film RRR. They have those digital tigers, like a big scene in the movie. And it works for that movie. This is real. I mean, you're seeing a deer being ripped apart and eaten. It's graphic.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's very natural and it's very predictable. I think that's the thing that doesn't come across is his actions were not unusual. He acted like a tiger.
Yep.
And that's what tigers do. And
then Patrick Lemire says, did you see Grizzly Man? Tigers on Foot? Oof.
Oh, I love Grizzly Man. I really love Grizzly Man. Werner Herzog doc. I think it's really well done.
Yeah. And then Read by Nature says, what kind of handlers, escorts do you take with you when traveling into tiger territory? Do you need special permission to visit?
Yeah, so you have to get a film permit, which is not the same as a tourist permit. And it allows you obviously to film with a professional camera. And then you have to actually interact directly on the ground with the field director and say, in my case, at least I had to say, look, I'm following this tiger. I'm not going to fake it. I actually want shots of this tiger because some other productions pretend one tiger is the next, and I wanted to legitimately do it. Additionally, this tiger was the man-killing tiger or man-eating tiger, so I had to like do things differently, like go on foot to certain places, film the families, you know, that were affected by this animal, which was a very sensitive like issue, because you know you got to ask them like, what can I say, what can I show, because this is your son or your father or whatever, and so that in that sense it was different. About handlers and escorts, I mean, yeah, we have like a tiger tracker, and we have a driver that was awesome that sets up, you know, your Jeep to get the best shots. And after a while, you start directing him as to, okay, stop here, start there, and he kind of knows what you want.
Cool. And then Akanika asks, what started you on this tiger path in the beginning?
I mean, like I said, I've liked tigers my whole life. I didn't know I was going to make this big tiger doc. I wanted to make like actually a narrative script that wasn't going anywhere. Like most scripts don't go anywhere. And so I decided doing this, and then I got into it. I never thought it would take this long. It's been like a decade. I mean, it's finally out in theaters now. We're going to be showing it at the Lemley in actually 3.5 weeks. It's opening on September 30th. So if people really want to see it and they like the trailer, just please come to the Lemley. It could certainly use a ticket purchase.
Cool. And just a couple more questions as we wrap up here. Ferd Turgeson says, Shere Khan.
Yep.
There we go. And Kara is, final question here. Is the story over, or will you continue with telling his story?
There's actually been a recent development, and I don't know if I should give it away or not. I think people should come and check out the movie, because you'll see there's a recent development that was not present earlier. We have to change the end a little bit because something just happened a couple of months ago. Okay.
All right. And then last question here. Matthew Hammond, does it make you have more respect for people that work with tigers professionally?
Not really, because, you know, we're not making them do tricks or anything. It's a whole different thing. And I mean, I'm more into the preservation of the tiger in the wild. I'm not really into tigers performing or in zoos or caged in any form. So I think there's two different areas. I think tiger preservation in the wild is more important to me.
Great. Well, I want to say, Warren Pereira, thank you so much for joining us on the Film Thread Hollywood on the Rocks livecast show on our Wednesday show. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the film. I assume eventually it'll be out on video on demand and on streaming.
Yes, it will. It will. Absolutely.
But check out the trailer for sure. Warren, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care, Warren.
Bye.
Have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
So, Warren, surviving the heat in LA right now, because it's absolutely insane. We have another filmmaker coming on in the next 10 minutes. Michael Mandell is going to join us. His movie is called The Movie. And we're going to be talking with Michael momentarily. I want to get through your chat questions because we're still talking about She-Hulk, folks. We're still talking about She-Hulk. And we're talking about, we didn't even get, you know what's so funny? We didn't get to House of the Dragon. We didn't even get to it.
Oh, that's right.
To do that. It seems like what we do is we're very ambitious with this show. We're like, all right, we're going to talk to directors. We're going to talk about all these movies. There's always one thing we don't get to. It always seems to be one thing. Yeah. But let me get to your chat questions here. We have a lot of people watching, over 200 people. Remember, folks, slap that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Oh, wow. And we appreciate all of your support for the channel, because when you support us, we like to give back.
Finish him.
Oh, my jeans. All right, let's get to some questions and comments here. Let's see. Bradford for $9.99. Bradford Gauthier says, have you guys read the Entertainment Weekly or Daily Mail reviews of The Rings of Power? Absolutely ripping the show apart. Or even better, have you seen Grace Randolph's viral commentary about Galadriel? I have read both. I am kind of surprised that mainstream media outlets, in particular Entertainment Weekly, which did like a special handout, they did a special handout that they gave away at San Diego Comic-Con that I have. It's in my bathroom, in my magazine rack. I'll show it to you later. Alan, I'll give it to you when I'm done with it.
Okay. Yeah, I really want that.
Anyways, so they have been promoting it a lot. Entertainment Weekly has promoted it with these kind of digital motion covers, and they gave it a bad review. Daily Mail gave it a worse review. And Grace Randolph, of all people, I can never predict what she's going to think about things. All I know is if she reports something in the news, I don't know if it's going to be accurate. I don't know. And it's fine. You know what? Different, like, she didn't like it. She actually said that Galadriel was something of a Mary Sue or a Karen. She did not like Galadriel's character. She's the lead character of the show. So we'll see how that goes. That's crazy. Jamin D for 50. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Jamin. I do have to say I'm a bit emotionally moved watching raw perspective of a person who lost a loved one in this attack. And also other side of it is an animal that is trying to, in a way, protect its territory because it doesn't know any better. That's a reference to Tiger 24. Yeah. Sorry we missed your super chat before Warren had to go.
Yeah,
but
I mean, when you watch the film, there's question as to whether he was the actual tiger who did it, and they show evidence that maybe it was someone else, which kind of gets into this whole due process thing for animals, which is a interesting take on the legal process here.
Yeah, and let's get to some more comments here. Son of the Red Fox is a member. Sorry, I'm back. What did I miss? I had to go watch the Grace Randolph destroy the Rings of Power. It's unexpected, let's say, for Grace Randolph to not like that. So more comments here, mostly because of our discussion of She-Hulk. I feel like She-Hulk's going to be a thread, Alan.
Yeah.
It's going to be a thread. But Bethel Games says superhero story is a drama, not an unfunny sitcom. That's fair comment. Here's what I really am enjoying is we're disagreeing and having a very good time disagreeing. This is what I always loved about when I would go to a comic book store or a video store. In particular, there was a store in Pasadena called Laser Library on Green Street. And my buddy there worked the counter. We became friends later. His name was Anthony Miele. He ran the counter there. And we would get, this is like before podcasting, this is the late 90s. We're yelling at each other in the middle of the store. How dare you? That opinion is completely wrong. And we're just like going on to the point where like the customers of the store wouldn't leave because they were just watching us yell at each other. It was very fun. But comedy can be, I mean, there's stuff that's sort of objectively like, that's not funny. I found it endearing. Not every joke lands, but I like the concept and I like it's working for me. Your mileage may vary.
I mentioned this before, but I miss the water cooler. I miss going to work, hanging around and just talking about this stuff as opposed to doing it all on social media.
Well, Stuart Correll says She-Hulk might be good enough for network TV, but not for a subscription service, in my opinion. No bueno. So there you go. Patrick Lemire says, I may be cynical, but I don't think Amazon cares. People like me are not going to cancel Prime. We came for the free shipping. Content is a side benefit. Here's what's really funny. So many people have Prime Video. They have Amazon Prime and don't even know they have Prime Video. Do you realize how much cool stuff is on Prime Video? I'm not talking about like 13 Lives is great. I'm glad that Samaritan is on there and I will watch it. And The Boys, I was mixed on season 2. I actually like this newer season better, season 3 of The Boys. But most people that have Prime Video don't even know they have it. And my interest, I go down a rabbit hole with Prime Video. They have Gamera movies. Yeah. They have Johnny Sacco and his giant robot.
I just found News Radio. I've been binge watching News Radio. I hadn't seen that in years.
There is a ton of old 1950s and 60s sci-fi movies on Prime Video that a lot of people don't even realize is there. Just a few more comments. We have our special guest coming on. I'm very excited. CD Stein 69 is a member, says she'll be in a new Avengers movie, but hopefully it won't be a MCU A-Force version that it seems to be heading towards. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. Pretty sure. Silva Surfa says, Silva Surfa. Oh, I like that. Writers for She-Hulk's show are self-inserts, which helped ruin comics too. Certainly modern day comics, right? Like you want to have some life experience to bring to a comic, but when you look at Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, when they started, they were both married, and Stan Lee had gone through a divorce and got remarried. They both were in World War II. Like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby had lived very full lives by the time that they started doing Marvel Comics in the early 60s and creating all of these characters. They had lived a lot of lives. I think the problem is people that are bringing life experience into stories now haven't really done a lot. I mean, I can tell you definitively when I see a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh, that person doesn't have children, because that's not how a parent would really act. So here we go. And Dempsey is a member. Thank you. The show could be fine or whatever. That's fine. I am worried that they are going to try to shove World War Hulk into a post-Ragnarok storyline. Pretty sure that's happening.
Yeah. I'm
pretty sure that is happening. But let's switch gears here for a minute. One of the things I'm proud of with this channel is being able to bring you filmmakers directly, that you can have conversations with the filmmakers, okay? And you can ask them questions. Writer-director Michael Mandell has created a treat for you. It's part thriller, part comedy. It's simply called The Movie. How could you forget that? And it's about, without giving too much away, and after this live stream, after we talk to Michael, please go check out the trailer to the movie. Hopefully the link to the trailer is in the description. We'll post it in the description. The trailer for both Tiger 24 and the movie. We're putting the trailers in the description of this episode. Check it out. Guy shows up to an actress's house to basically force her into a real situation for the purposes of making a movie. Because this time it's real. It's funny. It's strange. It's a dark comedy. And Michael Mandell joins us today on the Film Threat Livecast. Michael, thanks for joining us. Hey, man, wait, first of all, before we get into talking to you about the film, explain the pink room you're in right now.
I don't know. I was just feeling impulsive, you know.
That is wildly creative. You've got these antlers up on this, on the one side. That is, I'm loving it. I love a unique workspace.
Thank you.
So what led to the concept and storyline for the movie?
Well, actually, a lot of it was just born out of the need to make a really cheap film. So I thought minimalistic, 2 actors, 1 location, shoot on the iPhone. And so we shot in my house. We shot with my 2 friends, were the 2 stars, and also the 2 best actors I know. And, you know, it just was sort of born out of that, because I thought, well, why would these people be in a house the whole time? It's got to be someone's holding the other one captive. And it just sort of went from there.
What, wait, did you say that you shot this with an iPhone?
Yes, a few. Yeah,
which iPhone? And talk a little bit about that, because this is the thing I always talk about with the people watching the show. We've got over 200 people watching us live. Please slap that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. But I always say, like, look, it's within your reach to make something. And while current iPhones, you can shoot 4K RAW with an iPhone. It's pretty incredible, the images, especially the new cinematic ones. The main thing I always stress is sound. You need really good sound. Can you talk, before we get into other aspects, and we'll go to our questions in the chat, what were some of the technical aspects? How did you make this feature movie that's now, it's coming out on video on demand from, from what distributors releasing it? Gravitas. Gravitas Ventures puts out a lot of great indie stuff. So tell us a little bit about the technical aspects of how you pulled this off.
Well, I wanted to shoot a movie on the iPhone. Everyone said it can't be done. I said, but it has been done. And, they're like, well, other than that, which I don't subscribe to. I saw Mark Duplass speak at a screening of Tangerine, and he said, for all you screenwriters out there who aren't getting your films made, or you're waiting for a phone call that's never going to come, you have the tech in your pocket to make a movie. So get creative, write a script that you could afford to shoot, and go do it. And I bought into that. And he said, Tangerine was the best looking movie we've made, and it was shot on the iPhone 5. So I really bought into that. I went for it. I hired a DP who has been in the game for, almost 50 years. And he at first, thought I was insane for wanting to shoot on the iPhone. And then after taking a look at the script and seeing the space, he sort of bought into the fact that it's the right camera for the job. I was going for sort of a raw look and feel to the movie, and I converted him.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned Tangerine, and that movie was shot with an iPhone 5. Now we're up to the 13 with a cinematic. They have the cinematic mode, and there's software where you can change your settings to shoot 4K RAW. You're gonna have to unload. You're gonna have to dump all the data off and grab the video. But yeah, we have some comments here in the chat. If you don't mind me going to those real quick. Patrick Lemire says flamingos. Patrick Lemire also goes on Bowfinger. Pepto-Bismol, says Ferg Turgeson. Digging the room, man, says Solomon Thornton. And then Shelby AC says, I freaking love that Pink Flamingo. And then Reese Mack says, Pink Flamingo theme song playing in my head. And then Cardinal Sin asked a question, how long did you study screenwriting before you wrote the movie?
How long did I study screenwriting? Well, I didn't. My degree is in creative writing, and I moved to LA after college and have been writing scripts ever since. So I don't have a formal education, but
so you're just like Quentin Tarantino, just self-taught.
Sure, yeah, just like him.
Cool. And then let's see other questions here. Shout outs to the converted DP on embracing evolution.
Yeah, but you know what I would like to say to that is that halfway through the shoot, my DP turns to me after shooting a scene, and he says, you know what I just realized? The lens is off in the corner. I thought it was in the middle. Your whole movie's wrong.
Glenuccio asks, were there any challenges filming with an iPhone?
Well, that was one. It was a little glitchy. We had it wasn't just, I wasn't just holding the iPhone up there. We had a whole crew, and we had gimbals and lighting, and so we had some tech issues along the way, but mostly it made it super easy. I mean, we shot this film in 12 days. It was just so fast, and my DP was amazing. I mean, he would it would look like he's not even paying attention to the rehearsal, and he knew exactly where to put the camera, and boom, let's go. We were in and out. It was awesome.
Matthew Hammond asks, how many iPhones did you have for the production, and what was the process to transfer data off the phone?
We had 3 iPhone 10s, 10X or 10S or something like that. We missed the cinematic mode by a couple months there. The process to transfer data off the phone, it was a constant battle.
And then Shelby AC, is it challenging to direct friends or easier?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I did get in like a knockdown, drag out fight with Walter the day before the shoot. But I would say it was easier. I don't know. It was better. The answer is it was better. It was like a family affair with my friends.
And then a couple more questions before we wrap up. Solomon Thornton, any advice for filmmakers?
Yes, just go shoot a movie. Go write a movie that you can afford and plan on shooting, and just do it, because everyone says they're going to do it and most people don't. You just got to follow through and just do it.
Cool. And then Cardinal Sin has two quick questions here. Did you collect Film Threat magazines before you were writer director?
I did not. But
well,
I will.
They're very collectible. They're very collectible. And last question here. What is your favorite thing about being a director for your own film, and what was the worst, says Cardinal Sin?
Well, I have a God complex, so it was pretty interesting, seeing my words come to life. I mean, it's kind of freaky, and I'm a control freak, so that was good. It's all, I made the movie I wanted to make, and there's no holds barred. I didn't have a producer who was telling me not to do that, which certainly should have been the case, probably. But what was the worst thing? Well, just that I had all this work to do. I mean, it's tedious as hell. And
well, it's even like people forget that, like, okay, making the movie is a whole other beast. What you're doing now, that's the other beast. The distribution, the release, the publicity, the promoting it, making sure people know it's around, putting out the trailer, promoting the trailer. There's a whole other job. It's almost like, I feel, having done this, been through the process a couple times myself, that actually making the film, that's like the fun part. That's like all the other stuff is like, oh, now we have to like tell people to please buy or rent the movie.
Right. Who wants to do that?
Yeah. Like, I'd rather be working on another film.
Right.
So
yeah. Shooting a movie is so fun. And editing is also really fun, but it's tedious and it's significantly longer, and there's just so many facets to it. But if you commit, you got, like Mark Duplass said, you can do it. You have this device in your pocket that can get it done.
And you brought up Mark Duplass. I would remind people there's a really good speech that Mark Duplass gave, and I believe it was the South by Southwest 2016 speech. Just look up Mark Duplass, South by South SXSW 2016 speech. He gives this whole speech where he talks about how he started making movies, and he has like his whole philosophy is the cavalry's not coming. Right. No one's going to help you. No investor is going to come in and just give you $1 million to make whatever movie you want to make. No distributor is going to come in and do everything for you. Right? Like, it's like the cavalry's not coming. You just have to assume no one is going to help you but you. It's a great speech, and I'm not surprised that you were inspired by Mark Duplass. So there you go. Michael Mandell, thank you for being on the show today. The movie is called The Movie, and it's out. It's out today.
No, it's out on Tuesday, the 6th.
Okay, so next Tuesday, the 6th, the movie is out. But check out the trailer, which is on YouTube, and the link is in the description. Michael, thank you for joining us on the Film Threat Livecast. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care, man. Later. That was awesome. What a cool dude, man. This guy, I just want people, I want filmmakers to know, aspiring filmmakers, because the difference between Michael and just, anyone thinking about making a movie is Michael just decided to make a movie. And not only that, decided to paint his room pink. Tertiary Adjunct says that room cures indigestion. So there you go. We got a few more chats here. I know Alan has to leave, and then we are going to go see, reminder for you all, we're going to be back later tonight for a late night edition of Hollywood on the Rocks. Alan and I are both going to see Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So we are going to be back later. And Cardinal Sin says, wow, count them, two directors in one show. We've done 3 directors back to back in one show. Yes. So Cardinal Sin, come back. We like to talk to indie filmmakers. Last week was amazing. We had the woman who directed the movie The Invitation, #1 at the box office last week. The director of the show was on Film Threat YouTube channel, and that movie is in theaters. So check it out. And Nate Winchester says, "What do you use to store all your footage on?" I mean, I would assume when you're shooting, when you're shooting with an iPhone, it's just on the iPhone. But what you have to do if you're shooting in RAW 4K, you have to dump it off, and you can just I buy hard drives at Costco. You can get a 5 terabyte hard drive at Costco, pretty reasonably priced. And we're going to wrap up with a few more questions here. Matthew Hammond asks, does Film Threat have a list of movies people should watch before they die? Not officially, but I have movies off the top of my head that I think that you should see. Alan, you go first.
Casablanca is that it's the perfect movie. I hate to say.
All right. There are other perfect movies. I would say Back to the Future, a perfect movie. I would say Jaws, which is opening in theaters this weekend. Jaws in 3D, perfect movie.
Airplane is a perfect comedy.
Airplane is a perfect comedy that you could never re-release today.
Mm.
Which they
and then
should.
the Blazing Saddles to piggyback on that in terms of messaging. And
yeah. And then let's see. Rings of Power, says Solomon Thornton. The Ring of Power is going to be the Disney Star Wars sequels of the 2020s. I would agree. I think it looks terrible. And the fact that like people that you think kind of softball their reviews, the people that normally throw softballs for reviews are hating on it, that tells you something. Well, I don't know. At 7 p.m. tonight, I'm seeing it with Paulie from Latino Slant. We're going to do a live out of the theater reaction. And then we're going to do probably, I don't know, between 9:30 and we're just going to set the time for like 9:30. And then we're going to go live as soon as possible. Alan, you might beat me because you're cool. Where's your theater?
My theater, it's near Angel Stadium, so I'm not too far from it.
Oh, okay. So maybe you start the stream without me, or you can get me on in my car.
I mean, it all depends on, because technically I don't have a ticket, but I'm going to get in.
Yes, you have a ticket, Alan.
Yes, I have a ticket.
Yeah, you have a ticket.
I do.
You have a ticket.
I know.
You definitely have a ticket.
Because that particular theater watches this live stream.
Cool. But then you got to dump it on a hard drive, and the best, just pick up, but also you have to duplicate everything.
Mm-hmm.
Backups, but
in separate locations. Duplicate in separate locations.
Other movies I would recommend. I have 2 movies that I would recommend that are not ones you are common. The other movie I would recommend is Slacker by Richard Linklater. It was his second feature film. Richard Linklater's first feature film is a really weird title. It's like How I Learned to Plow, and it's like this long, it's like a sentence, this title of his movie. And it was a Super 8 feature that he made in Austin, Texas. His second movie was it was, I think, shot Super 16. I know it was 16 millimeters, Super 16. Richard Linklater made a film called Slacker. It is one of my all-time favorite independent films. It is a day in the life in Austin, Texas. It's multiple sort of little short stories that kind of play out and one bleeds to the next. So it's like you're passing this person, then the camera just goes to that person and tells that person's story. It's a beautiful film. It's absolutely one of my favorites. It's not a traditional narrative, and I love that movie. It's a series of little stories, a day in the life of Austin, Texas. The other film I'm going to recommend is a movie directed by Kaveh Zahidi. Kaveh Zahidi is an indie filmmaker who has done some big indie movies, some smaller ones. He made a movie called I Am a Sex Addict. It's not exactly what you would think, but also, ironically enough, Mark Duplass, both the Duplass brothers, Jay and Mark, are huge fans of I Am a Sex Addict. It's about Kaveh Zahidi is a guy that he's in love with a girl, and he starts re-examining his past relationships with women and kind of where they went wrong. And it's part documentary, part experimental film, part animation, part like narrative documentary. It sort of blends documentary and narrative feature, where he'll cast women playing the girlfriend to reenact scenes, and then he actually has interactions with the real women from his past to kind of find out what went wrong and where he was an asshole, right? It's a brilliant film. I don't believe it's streaming anywhere. but you can find used copies of it on like I think you can find it on, you might even be able to find it on Prime Video. But just look up I Am a Sex Addict, Kaveh Zahidi. It really shows what you can do creatively with no money. And there you go. Patrick Lemire says Slacker is all non-actors and it works. Son of the Red Fox for $10. You guys made me love movies again. Thank you. I get 200 characters, but I don't know what to say except Entertainment Weekly gave Rings of Power a C-. Wow. Now that's based on the first 2 episodes. What if the other 7 episodes? Is it 7 or 8?
Oh, I have no idea. I think it's in the 8 range. 8 or more.
Alan, can you find out?
Oh, do you really want to know?
How many episodes for Rings of Power? And I don't know that we're going to cover it weekly just because I don't know that I have the stomach for it. But
Unless it's the greatest series ever.
am I going to cover every episode? Probably. I will definitely comment on every episode. I don't know that I'll review every episode. My recommendation is there are channels that do this way better than we do. For example, Nerdrotic, Gary Beekler, strong recommendation for his channel. The usual suspects, heel versus babyface. Ryan Cannell, I know, is going to be a huge fan. He's gonna watch every episode.
It's 8 episodes. And
there's 8 episodes total.
Honestly, if it has legs, any kind of legs, whether good or bad, we can keep going. But yeah, we'll see. If it's horrible, if it's abjectly horrible from episode to episode, we'll probably cover it.
Oh, wait, here's a super chat that we missed. Cardinal Sin for 5 and a member. Thank you for that. I've been hunting down older movies I haven't seen yet, getting a lot of 4K discs and excellent restorations. Looking forward to a big stack of them. Yeah, one I would recommend that's coming out is Invaders from Mars. Cardinal Sin, you would love this. Invaders from Mars, it's the 1950s version, okay? They did a complete restoration of it in 4K. It is coming out near the end of September. We actually interviewed the lead actor from Invaders from Mars, who played the little kid. We interviewed him, and we interviewed the person who oversaw the restoration. We're going to be spinning off. Glanuccio is on it.
Yeah.
Glanuccio.
By the way,
why do I say Glanuccio? Like,
I was going to say, sorry. If you're in LA, it's playing at Cinecon on Saturday.
Okay, yeah. So, and Film Threat, 293 likes. Wow. Let's get up to 300 likes, folks. There's over 200 people watching. Let's get those likes up here before Alan and I have to take off. And, look, we get those likes up there, you're going to get something like this. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Matthew. Slacker and I Am a Sex Addict by Kaveh Zahidi. Really amazing. And another question here. Chris, is Film Threat issue number 18 the issue with the black and white comic where the girl poops out the California raisin? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think I have that issue. Let me, you know what? I'm going to look for it just for a sec. I'm going to look for it, see if I can find it. I'm just turning around here, seeing if I can find this issue on my bookshelf here. It's somewhere here. That is a rare issue. There are only a few thousand of those that were ever printed. But it's
what issue number was that again?
Issue number 18.
I'll see if I can find it in the archive.
We have a digital archive. We're actually going to be at some point. I can't find it right now, but I'll find it. That I know for a fact that that's the issue. I know for a fact that issue you're talking about, and not only that, the guy that's actually in the California Raisin parody is Craig from Craigslist. That is the founder of Craigslist. The actual guy his name is Craig. He did the photo shoot with me in Michigan. So there you go. Cardinal Sin says there should be 1,000 people watching by this time of day. I would agree. I would love that. Son of the Red Fox has 306 likes. That's great. But yeah, Timothy, we're going to be doing in the next year a fundraiser to help us release the movie Film Threat Sucks, the documentary. If you would like, look up Film Threat Sucks trailer. There is a trailer that's made its way out. It was made years ago when we were trying to pitch it, but it's the Film Threat documentary has been in the works for over a decade. It's gone through like 4 different filmmakers because it's like an archival doc that's insane.
Hey, sorry to do this. I have to go.
Alan's got to go. Well, that's a good time to wrap up.
Right.
Alan, thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone in the chat. We appreciate it. We are going to be back later today. We're going to be back later tonight. Going to be around 9:30 p.m., 10 p.m. Alan's got to go. I will see you all back later tonight. Thank you all. Support us. Go to shop.filmthreat.com and follow us. We're Film Threat on everything. And Alan, what do we like to say at the end of the show?
Let's get out of here. I got to go.